At the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 1, Sora is told by Mickey that he will be the one to open a door, by a voice that is speaking directly to his heart, a voice that guides him through his awakening and his fight against the darkness creeping into his heart. And this would be the first instance of many that I'll be compiling into a consensus that Mickey is not a normal entity, but rather he is something that I like to dub a mythical entity, and perhaps even an agent of destiny. To define it shortly, I believe that Mickey is a being that exists thanks to Kingdom Hearts to guide Sora, and he actually only plays ignorant to what occurs over the series. He's like a companion entity to Sora himself, who I believe and have been theorizing and compiling a bunch of information together for you guys, that Sora is like a literal brother to the Master of Masters. To continue, we begin with Kingdom Hearts 0.2. Mickey tells Aqua that Sora and Riku are his friends while never meeting them, but also telling her that they're being guided by a force that is shaping all of their destinies pretty much. That he and Sora must come together with the two Keyblades of the Realm of Light and Darkness to thwart Ansem's plan. So keeping in mind how Mickey speaks to Sora at the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 1, at the end, Mickey appears to Sora, Donald, and Goofy and tells Sora, "Let's close the door." Notice how in this moment Sora hesitates because of Mickey and Riku being trapped. But Donald and Goofy tell Sora to trust King Mickey, and as Mickey thanks them, the door closes. It's almost as though they know that their king knows what he's doing. But we have been told over and over again that the Realm of Darkness is uncharted, unfamiliar, and otherworldly territory to our heroes. This is the necessity of multiple visits to the Realm of Darkness by Mickey and Riku in Kingdom Hearts 3. So how would Mickey know that everything will be okay if the door is closed? This could just be due to the fact that Nomura didn't know if they'd get the green light for sequels, but if we ignore that fact, since literally Chain of Memories came out like about less than a year later, we can assume that Mickey knows about Aqua's 10-year tenure in the Realm of Darkness, at least coming up to the stages of when we get to Days and how Birth by Sleep was planned right after Kingdom Hearts 2. So even Keyblade Masters have trouble in the Realm of Darkness. But 0.2 reiterates this moment one-to-one with Kingdom Hearts 1, only showing us new stuff from the perspective of Aqua herself. Mickey's certainty in this moment, and subsequently Donald and Goofy's certainty in him, is not probable or logical, unless Mickey in some facet already knows the future, which he explicitly showcases when he speaks to Sora in his Station of Awakening at the beginning of the game. And at the end, when Sora, Donald, and Goofy are going towards the Destiny Crossroads and spot Pluto, who's somehow holding a letter, he's somehow holding a letter from King Mickey that we never even got to see. He tells Sora again to not forget he will be the one to open the door to light this time. So it goes from him telling him that he will open the door to specifically opening the door to light. In Chain of Memories, Mickey appears to help Riku with his battle against the darkness, and he seemingly lies to Riku about having to tend to another matter before he can reach him within the castle. But by the end, Mickey will appear in a form first of intangibility, then in the heart-like form he takes when he stops Ansem, and finally appears in the flesh after stopping Ansem in this exact same cutscene. What power did he use when he appeared in his intangible form? Why did it seem like he was lying? It's been almost 20 years and I do not have any recollection as to whether or not we were ever told what Mickey was doing during the events of Chain of Memories. But at the end, we learned that Mickey and Diz were observing Riku's tenure in the castle to see what path he would pick at the Destiny Crossroads at the end. I hate to make Mickey seem complicit in anything, but I can't shake the feeling that he was aware of everything Riku would learn and experience in the castle, as the organization members themselves help Riku decipher the guilt, pain, and terror of his actions in Kingdom Hearts 1. But the autonomy to be light or darkness is still solely up to Riku by the end of the game. Mickey only slightly suggests or places a suggestion within Riku that there is value in walking the path Riku later calls the road to dawn, while Mickey himself also says in other games that he almost exclusively sides with light. He just knows that darkness is a part of all entities, a part of all beings that aren't pure of heart, meaning he himself as well. But he does side almost solely with the light, and we have never seen Mickey even potentially use the power of darkness before. In Kingdom Hearts 2, Mickey actually plays a simple role that enhances our discussion today. So it's just basically like enhancement. He watches, guides, and protects Sora. We learned in Days that Mickey is fulfilling a promise to Riku to help Sora, Donald, and Goofy catch up to what's happening. But that doesn't explain the way Mickey always knows when Sora falls, as we see in the game, and saves him from despair. It doesn't explain how he always appears when Sora is about to receive information that helps push him along to the finale. And when we get to the finale, no one ever found it weird how King Mickey is side by side with Riku and Sora, but when the final battle starts, he's magically with Kairi, Donald, and Goofy, leaving Sora and Riku to fight Xemnas and Kingdom Hearts alone. This could all be coincidental, but we know that these events will change Riku for the better, and Sora will have his first encounter with that so-called door to the light, as the longing between him and Kairi via her letter will bridge the realms of light and darkness, just as it did when Sora came to their aid in Kingdom Hearts 3 when Riku called to him. These two also in this moment learn to use light and darkness as equals, pulling out their combined powers far in advance of Dream Drop Distance when their heart becomes tangibly connected through dreams and their awakenings. It's my belief that Mickey chose not to burden them with his presence, as these two are more than enough to handle Xehanort at this point, and Mickey may be aware of this. I can't understand how he got over by Kairi and Ko, when he was just next to Sora and Riku, and Xemnas called on all three of them to either go gather hearts for his Kingdom Hearts or be destroyed by him. So it's kind of weird how Mickey would even wind up by Kairi, Donald, and Goofy to be sent through the portal of darkness, or to be sent through the corridor of darkness, to be sent wherever they go, while Sora and Riku fight Xemnas alone. I always found that moment weird because Mickey is supposed to be a part of the 3 heroes of light that Xemnas talks about, but he doesn't get to partake in the final battle, even though Mickey has been watching Sora and watching over Sora, Donald, and Goofy throughout the whole game. It's always felt weird to me how he didn't also partake in that battle too, and Mickey is even more playable of a character than Riku himself, who we'll only get to briefly take control over in Kingdom Hearts 2 the one time when we fight Xemnas. Dream Drop Distance has the most interesting take on Mickey, and it builds the biggest case here. Starting with the opening, it shows Mickey existing in an almost 4th dimensional way. Time plays out within the Book of Prophecies, while Mickey is almost a spectator of all of the events of the games we've played thus far, until Sora and Riku are faced by Xehanort. It is only then that Mickey becomes an actual part of time and appears within the story. Then it gets even more weird when Mickey starts to appear within the worlds of Dream Drop Distance. In the Musketeers world, Mickey is exclusively, not originally, of the world that Sora is visiting. It's implied that he is using the same power that sent Sora and Riku to the past and into their younger selves. He is within the heart of his Musketeer self. In other words, he is within the heart of this Mickey, but he is not the Mickey of this world. He is not the Mickey of the dreams. He is another Mickey entirely, or at least he has the mental capacity of another Mickey entirely. He is not just the Mickey of a dream. He's like a sentient Mickey. He's aware of everything that's going on, including what Sora is doing there. He is using the power of awakening, presumably. As he hides from Donald and Goofy this fact, he alone knows that Sora is wielding a Keyblade, and he alone announces that he is from another world. This perception is confirmed when Riku and Sora visits the mysterious tower. At the end of Sora's story, awakened/unchained, whichever one, Mickey returns to his body, and before he leaves to fetch water as he was told to by Yen Sid, he turns back to Sora and acknowledges him as his friend, stating that he'll see him soon. And in Riku's story, he says he hoped that he can join the team with them someday. But the weird thing is that Mickey is in this world is the same Mickey across both worlds. In other words, he's like a portal the same way Beat is in Traverse Town. As Sora and Riku's adventures must come together to release the spell Mickey is under, meaning their two worlds are clearly one for the first time since Traverse Town itself, one disjointed into two. But the events connect them to both fully realizing the dream, the same way they gave The World Ends With You cast their second chance that Joshua was hoping to give them by bringing them to Traverse Town. In other words, they meet the fourth dimensional Mickey that we saw in the opening. They meet Mickey in his mythical form. Yen Sid says that Mickey cannot travel to a world of dreams. So how is there a sentient and aware form of Mickey that will take this experience or these experiences with him into the events of Kingdom Hearts 0.2 or the earliest stages of Kingdom Hearts, Birth by Sleep and B4, and back around to Dream Drop Distance? If he is more than just a mere Keyblade wielder, Mickey does not have the ability to traverse sleeping worlds according to Yen Sid. But his active consciousness is within these sleeping worlds regardless. He's a paradox in Dream Drop Distance, existing inside and outside of time. He's around to play his role in Destiny, but also present across all other forms of time. That's literally his appearance in Dream Drop Distance. When I replayed it, is what made me first come to these realizations. But when we get to Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind, when I replayed that as well before I started to come back with videos, it starts to get a little bit more interesting, because we know, all I'm going to say right now is that we know that King Mickey was hesitant to let Sora go on his journey, meaning that there's a version of Mickey that was hesitant to let Sora go on his journey. But let's continue forward. I saved talking about Timeless River, but even that is possibly Mickey displaying immortality and fourth dimensional abilities. Timeless River and time and events exist within this place as tangible doorways. Mickey also guards something called the Cornerstone of Light within this past time. So understand that if Sora, Donald, and Goofy didn't appear, it would be Mickey and Pete pretty much battling it out for, well, not even battling it out, but it would be Mickey who would be the defender of the Cornerstone of Light. But no, in Kingdom Hearts 2, this door that leads to the Timeless River is not opened by Merlin or anyone else. It simply just already exists. Plus, Mickey's signature magic is time magic. It's his trump card. And in Kingdom Hearts 3, when the Guardians are within trouble, he is going to use time magic. But Riku stops him before he can cast his spell. But notice how Mickey almost kind of ponders this decision. I don't think he was going to use Stopza or even something like Zeta Stop, like Donald's Zeta Flare. I don't think he was going to use like that next scale to where it seemed like, I'm not going to talk about that because that's going to be another video. Mickey specifically, for the final time at this stage, exhibits the ability to bypass the confines of time. I jumped ahead. I fucking jumped ahead with that little tangent. Okay, so pretty much, when we see the events of Remind play out and Xehanort destroys Kairi, we saw the scene to where Sora, as he is in the events of Remind, actually has a moment to where he speaks to Mickey in this timeline, and he's speaking to Mickey within the Station of Awakening, and they're talking, and Mickey is explaining to him about what Xehanort did to Kairi and why he did it. So he's telling him what Xehanort did to Kairi and why he did it, and how he used Kairi as a sort of trump card until he can open Kingdom Hearts. In other words, he got rid of her to prevent the Princesses of Heart from being able to stop him with their power, like how they did to Ansem in Kingdom Hearts 1. She's a trump card. And then right before Mickey can give Sora an answer to a question that he asked, Mickey and Riku are set free from the Stopza that Xehanort had put them under. So pretty much it's like as if Sora was going to ask Mickey to reveal the future to him, and then time proceeds to go forward. In other words, they are cut off because Mickey, who is speaking, I presume, in the same way that he spoke to Sora throughout time at the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 1, he tries to ask Mickey a question about the future, and Mickey is set free. So I'm guessing potentially this has something to do with the awareness of the Mickey in the world versus what I presume to be the fourth dimensional Mickey that we were definitely made aware of in Dream Drop Distance. In closing, I want to say we have been told over and over, and in the games and even in interviews, that nothing happens within this series by coincidence. But if these observations bear any fruit, Mickey obviously is not a king for no reason. With his past being in the mold of this theory, I can only describe Mickey as an agent of destiny. It's clear that Mickey in Kingdom Hearts 1 is speaking to Sora with certainty, and the way he has been represented throughout the series clearly is keeping us from looking deeper into his place in destiny. But the proof to look even deeper into him is his Keyblade. The Kingdom Key D is the sister Keyblade to Sora's. And in Kingdom Hearts 1, it's established that the Kingdom Key is the mark of the one who will fulfill the prophecy of light and darkness. We always assume that the D is indicative of darkness, and in 0.2, Mickey actually does call it the Keyblade of Darkness, when it could mean something far more poignant. D for destiny. The D may not stand for darkness. It doesn't allow Mickey to channel darkness, it doesn't grant him immunity to darkness as long as he's wielding it, but if Sora is Destiny's spearhead figure for wielding the Kingdom Key of Light, Mickey as the wielder of the Kingdom Key D, proverbially darkness, meaning like before it's confirmed that it's Kingdom Key D as in Kingdom Key Darkness, because we don't know what the D actually stands for, he may be like a sidekick to Sora. And as I've shown you, Mickey has been secretly fulfilling this role in some mysterious ways throughout the series. I think the biggest thing to take from this is that in Dream Drop Distance, for sure, Tetsuya Nomura decided to do something very weird with Mickey, and that was giving Mickey a level of sentience that was beyond even characters like Joshua, even characters like clearly The World Ends With You characters that may not be bound by the rules of Kingdom Hearts, perhaps. This is like the reason why I call him a mythical entity, which would mean, as I've given this descriptor to characters like the Blue Fairy and Fairy Godmother as well, the reason why I call him a mythical entity is because he seems to be outside the bounds of time. And the thing about the Blue Fairy was that she seemed to be outside of the bounds of time and the world itself too. She seems to be immortal. The same thing goes for the Blue Fairy, and also the same thing goes for the three fairies, Maleficent and Maleficent. As a matter of fact, it kind of goes for almost all of the Disney characters. But what made Mickey special, what made Mickey the one worth looking into is his Kingdom Key, the Kingdom Key D. The Kingdom Key D, and then in Dream Drop Distance, he appears to be fourth dimensional. The first showing is the opening. He's pretty much orchestrating the orchestra to play the opening song while he's literally watching the opening play out, and the opening is supposed to be the story thus far. Then it is only when Master Xehanort appears before or behind Riku and Sora that King Mickey himself actually jumps into the story. He's fourth dimensional in the presentation of the opening 100%. Then in the story itself, in the game itself, and in the worlds where Mickey is actually present, we are told by Master Yin Sid himself that Mickey, for some reason, cannot traverse sleeping realms. This could be due to the fact that they're corrupted by potentially darkness when you dive into sleeping worlds. This is how Xehanort tricked Sora into falling into the darkness. But it is potentially possible that what's going on with Mickey in these worlds is that his sentience and his awareness bypasses the fact that he is pretty much just a sort of representation of the characters, or of Mickey himself. He's in the dream, but his sentience bypasses the fact that he should only just be a dream version of Mickey. In the Mysterious Tower world, he turns around to Sora and says, "I'll see you real soon." In other words, this Mickey that's within the dream of the Mysterious Tower is aware that he will eventually become friends with Sora. While the placement of this world is ambiguous because it could be before Birth by Sleep or it could be post Birth by Sleep. However, it is definitely before Kingdom Hearts 1 when Mickey is already a Keyblade master. How in the fuck does Mickey know that he will be friends with Sora? And then the version that Riku meets is also aware. He's also aware of the fact that he will become a part of their team. And we know that he's aware because of what he says at the end when him and Riku shake hands. When him and Riku shake hands, he says, "I hope I can be a part of their specific team, the three of them." And Riku tells him he will. So, I mean, it's pretty clear that something weird is going on with Mickey as far as it pertains to time. And I think that's because Mickey actually is like the rest of the mythical entities within the series. He really is, and he's fucking Mickey Mouse. This is a Disney property. He's Mickey Mouse. Of course, freaking Mickey Mouse is going to be someone very different. He's not just going to be a Keyblade wielder. And just think of how he's been done throughout the series. For as strong as he presumably is as a Keyblade master, Mickey has never gotten a true moment to shine. And I think the reason for that is that Mickey is kind of just like how Jiminy Cricket is within the story of Pinocchio. He's basically just there to ensure that Sora will achieve his destiny. He's not there to pretty much be an active participant in destiny so much as someone who is around to ensure that destiny plays out the way that Kingdom Hearts desires. That's the only way that I can truly put it. But I think that, of course, there has to be something going on with King. There has to be something going on with King Mickey, man. The way he's presented in Dream Drop Distance and throughout the rest of the series even, but just in short, like Timeless River. What the fuck was Timeless River, dude? Timeless River took us back in time, and then Mickey existed then back in time as well. But then we know that Mickey, like, that could be how, oh my god, dude. Holy shit. The whole Timeless River thing could literally be like Mickey meeting Sora and them back then, and then that's how he knows about Sora throughout the future. But Kingdom Hearts 1, the talk in Kingdom Hearts 1, it has to come from the future. It cannot come from the same moment because Mickey speaks with a certainty that Sora will be the one to open the door to light. But that's that's the end of the theory. Take care of yourself and take care of each other. This has been your boy Mazzy. Don't forget to do a little A-class gaming. Everything you do, don't forget to keep it A-class. And I'll catch you guys in the next one, man. Peace the heck